The stadium lights were already half dark when Marcus Reed heard the first security alarm scream through the empty tunnel. He stopped pushing his mop bucket and looked toward the luxury suite level, where only rich guests, team owners, and invited celebrities had been allowed after the championship game. A second alarm hit, louder than the first, and then a voice blasted through the speakers. Nobody leaves the building. All exits are locked. Security breach in the owner's suite. Marcus stood alone in the hallway, still wearing his gray maintenance uniform, his gloves wet from cleaning spilled soda and popcorn off the floor. 40 minutes ago, 90,000 fans had been roaring inside that stadium. Now the seats were empty, the field was dark, and the only sound was the echo of boots running above him. Before Marcus could move, 3 security guards rushed around the corner. Their flashlights hit his face like he was already guilty. "Stop right there," one guard shouted. Marcus slowly lifted his hands. "I work here." The tallest guard looked him up and down, then stared at the mop bucket. "What are you doing near the suite entrance?" Marcus kept his voice calm. "Cleaning section 214. Same route, every home game." Another guard stepped closer and saw the badge hanging from Marcus's chest. Marcus Reed, night maintenance. The tall guard did not relax. "The owner's championship ring is missing, worth $3 million. It disappeared from the private suite 10 minutes ago." Marcus blinked. "And you're stopping me because of a mop bucket?" The guard's jaw tightened. "We're stopping everyone." But Marcus looked down the hallway and saw nobody else with their hands in the air. A white bartender walked past carrying empty trays, and security barely glanced at him. 2 young staff members in black suits whispered near the elevator, untouched. "I did not take anything," Marcus said. The guard pointed at the bucket. "Open it." Marcus slowly stepped back. The guard kicked the bucket with his boot, splashing dirty water across the floor. He pulled out rags, trash bags, and cleaning spray like he was searching for a weapon. "Nothing." "Still," he said. "Check his pockets." Marcus felt heat rise in his chest. "You need to call my supervisor." "We are past supervisors," the guard snapped. "The owner wants this handled before police arrive." That was when Marcus saw him. Victor Hale, the billionaire owner of the football team, walking down the corridor in a navy suit, surrounded by assistants. His face was red with anger. Beside him stood his son, Bryce Hale, a young man in a white designer jacket, staring at Marcus with a cold little smile. Victor stopped in front of Marcus. "Is this him?" The tall guard nodded. "He was found near the suite corridor." Marcus stared at the owner. "Sir, I was cleaning. I have worked here 8 years. I have never had one complaint." Victor's eyes moved over Marcus's uniform like it disgusted him. "My ring was on the glass table in my suite. Only staff had access after the game," Marcus said. "Then check every staff member." Bryce laughed softly. "People like him always say check everyone." The words hit the hallway harder than the alarm. Marcus looked at Bryce, but he did not answer. He had learned years ago that some people wanted anger from him because anger made their lie easier to sell. Victor pointed toward the security office. "Take him there. Search him properly. If he has it, I want him arrested before sunrise." Marcus felt 2 guards grab his arms. "Do not touch me like that." The tall guard leaned close. "Then walk." They marched him through the lower tunnel, past framed photos of championship wins, retired jerseys, and smiling players who had called this place a home. Marcus knew every inch of that stadium. He had cleaned blood from locker room floors, snow from entry ramps, beer from staircases, and once, during a storm, he had carried an injured fan on his back to the medical room. But now they walked him like a thief, through the same building he helped keep alive. Inside the security office, they made him empty his pockets, keys, a folded receipt, $2 in change, a photo of his daughter Layla, in her graduation cap. Bryce picked up the photo and smirked. "College." Marcus reached for it. "Do not touch that." Bryce held it just out of reach. "Expensive dream." Marcus stared at him. "She earned every dollar of her scholarship." Victor turned to the head guard. "Where is the camera footage?" The guard shifted nervously. "Suite hallway camera went out for 6 minutes." Victor exploded. 6 minutes. Marcus looked up. "That is convenient." Everyone turned to him. Marcus said, "A $3 million ring goes missing exactly when the camera goes out, and you are wasting time searching my mop bucket." Bryce stepped closer. "You better watch your mouth." Marcus looked directly at him. "I am watching everything." For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the office phone rang. The guard answered, listened, and looked at Victor. "Police are 5 minutes out. News vans are outside too. Someone leaked it." Victor cursed under his breath. A screen on the wall showed live footage from outside the stadium. Reporters stood near the gates, speaking into cameras. The headline at the bottom said, "Team owner's priceless ring stolen after championship celebration." Then, another line appeared. "Stadium worker being questioned." Marcus felt his stomach drop. Not suspect. Not person of interest. Worker. Everyone watching would know what that meant when they saw his face. His phone buzzed on the desk. It was Leela calling. The guard looked at it. No calls. Marcus's voice cracked for the first time. That is my daughter, Victor said. He can call her after we find my ring. Marcus laughed once. Not because it was funny, but because the cruelty was so clean. Your ring matters more than my name. Victor stepped closer. My ring is history, Marcus said. So is what you are doing right now. The police arrived minutes later. 2 officers entered the security office. One was older, with tired eyes. The other looked young and nervous. They listened while Victor talked fast, telling them Marcus had been found near the suite. The camera went out, and valuable property was missing. The older officer turned to Marcus. Did you steal the ring? No. Do you consent to a search? Marcus looked at the guards, at Victor, at Bryce, then back to the officer. You already know, they searched me. We need to ask. Marcus nodded slowly. Search. Then, when you find nothing, I want every camera checked, not just the broken one. Bryce folded his arms. He is trying to sound smart now. The older officer looked at Bryce. Let him speak. Marcus took a breath. The suite hallway camera went out. Fine, but the service elevator has a camera. The stairwell has a camera. The tunnel outside loading dock has a camera. And the hallway near the trophy room has a reflection in the glass wall. If someone walked out with that ring, one of those cameras saw something. The room went quiet. The head guard looked uncomfortable. We have not checked those yet. Victor glared at him. Then check them. They moved to the monitor wall. Marcus stood with an officer beside him while security pulled footage from different angles. The first camera showed Marcus pushing his mop bucket at 11:42. The ring was reported missing at 11:51. He was 2 floors below the suite when the camera blackout happened. The young officer looked at Victor. That does not place him near the ring, Victor snapped. Keep checking. Another camera showed the bartender. Another showed 2 servers. Another showed Bryce Hale walking out of the private suite at 11:49, his right hand tucked inside his jacket pocket. Marcus noticed it first. Pause, he said. The guard hesitated. Marcus said louder, pause it. The older officer nodded. Pause. The image froze. Bryce's face went pale. Victor turned slowly toward his son. Bryce laughed, but it sounded dry. I left to take a call. Marcus pointed at the screen. Then, why is your hand inside your jacket? Bryce snapped. Because it was cold. Marcus looked around the heated security office. Nobody believed him. The guard played the next camera. It showed Bryce near the service elevator. He looked behind him, pulled something shiny from his pocket, and slipped it into a black equipment case carried by a young assistant. Victor whispered, no. Bryce backed away. Dad, listen. The assistant on screen walked toward the loading dock, where a black SUV waited. Security fast-forwarded. The assistant opened the equipment case and handed a small velvet box to a man in a baseball cap. The older officer turned to the young one. Get units to the east loading dock. Now. Bryce tried to walk out, but Marcus stepped slightly into his path. He did not touch him. He did not need to. Bryce's mask broke. Move. Marcus said. People like me always say, check everyone. The words came back into the room like thunder. Victor stared at his son. Why? Bryce's eyes filled with panic. You were going to give it to the museum. You care more about that stupid ring than me. I was going to sell it back through a private buyer. Nobody was supposed to get hurt. Marcus felt something cold move through him. Nobody was supposed to get hurt. You pointed them at me. Bryce looked at him like Marcus was still beneath him. They were going to question you and let you go. Marcus stepped closer, his voice low and steady. My face is already on the news. My daughter is probably watching. My neighbors are watching. People who never met me are deciding I am a criminal because you needed a cover. Bryce looked away. The older officer handcuffed Bryce right there in front of his father. For the first time all night, Victor Hale had no powerful words left. Outside, the news vans still waited. The story had already escaped the building, but the truth had not caught up yet. Marcus picked up his daughter's photo from the desk and put it back in his pocket. Victor turned to him. His voice was softer now. Mr. Reed, I am sorry. Marcus looked at him for a long moment. You are sorry because your son got caught. You were not sorry when they kicked my bucket over. You were not sorry when they searched my pockets. You were not sorry when your son insulted my daughter. You were not sorry when the world thought I stole your ring. Victor swallowed. What do you want me to do? Marcus looked at the live news screen. Tell the truth with the same energy you used to accuse me. 30 minutes later, Victor Hale stood outside the stadium gates under bright camera lights. Police led Bryce into a waiting car behind him. Reporters shouted questions from every direction. Victor raised both hands. The stadium worker who was questioned tonight, Marcus Reed, did not steal my ring. He helped identify the real suspect through security footage. He has worked here for 8 years with honor, and tonight he was treated unfairly. That treatment was wrong. Marcus stood a few feet behind him, silent. Then a reporter asked, Mr. Reed, do you believe race played a role in how you were treated? The whole crowd went quiet. Marcus looked into the cameras. He thought about every hallway he had cleaned while people looked through him. He thought about every time someone called him Buddy instead of his name. He thought about his daughter sitting at home, watching the world decide who her father was before the truth arrived. Yes, Marcus said, race played a role. My uniform played a role. My job title played a role. People saw a black man with a mop and believed guilt was easier than evidence. That is not security. That is prejudice wearing a badge. No one interrupted him. Marcus continued, I do not want pity. I want people to stop treating respect like it belongs only to rich people. I want every worker in this stadium to know their name matters. I want my daughter to know her father stood here with the truth, not shame. The next morning, the story was everywhere. Not the stolen ring, not the championship celebration. Marcus Reed became the man who exposed the lie inside a billion-dollar stadium. Fans who had walked past him for years began leaving messages at the front gate. Stadium staff signed a letter demanding new anti-bias training and worker protections. The security guard who kicked over his bucket was suspended. The assistant involved in the sale was arrested. Bryce Hale faced charges, but the moment that stayed with Marcus came later that day, when Leela walked into the stadium lobby and hugged him so tightly he could barely breathe. I saw everything, she whispered. Marcus closed his eyes. I am sorry you had to. She pulled back, tears on her face, but pride in her voice. No, Dad, I am glad I did, because they tried to make you small, and you made the whole country listen. A week later, during the next home game, the stadium was full again. Before kickoff, the announcer asked everyone to stand. Marcus thought they were honoring the team. Then his name echoed through the speakers. On the giant screen appeared his photo, not from a police report, not from a leaked accusation, but from years of service to the stadium. The crowd rose to its feet. Players clapped from the field. Workers in uniforms stood together in the tunnels, smiling through tears. Marcus walked onto the field slowly, wearing the same gray maintenance jacket he had worn that night. He did not need a suit to prove his worth. He did not need money to prove his dignity. He stood at the 50-yard line while 90,000 people applauded the man they should have seen all along. And as the noise shook the stadium, Marcus looked up at the bright lights and thought about the darkest hallway from that night. The truth had started there, beside a spilled mop bucket, when everyone expected him to bow his head. But Marcus Reed had not bowed. He had watched everything. He had remembered everything. And when the world finally looked at him, he made sure they saw more than a worker. They saw a man.